Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Business, and I'm doing a review of three ships today: the Samson, the Wicks, and the Clemson. The tiers 2, 3, and 4 United States Navy destroyers. These are some of my more favorite ships recently. So I'll go over my play style with these, but it's basically the same because they're all pretty much the same ship too. They just have an incremental upgrade as you move up the tiers as well. So the Samson here has 102 millimeter guns, and there's four of them. So basically, each of these ships have the same arrangement as far as the turret layout and even the torpedo launcher layout as well. They do differ, of course, in range and things like that, but yeah, that should be expected. Now, the base range is 7.8 kilometers. You can get the FCS upgrade that puts it up to 8.6, and of course, you can still get affected by advanced firing training for another 20% on top of that if you so choose to continue playing it. I personally, I'm not going to sell the ship, I'll just keep it. So it does have a hull upgrade as well. Gives it a little bit more AA defense, not like that matters, and a little bit more maneuverability. The torpedo upgrade, and I mean, this kind of sucks. They're 49 knots stock. That is so bad. You get up to 54 knots at the very least with the upgraded torps, so that's always a plus. But they fire slightly faster too. Instead of 2.6 rounds a minute, it's 2.7. So that's, yay. The only upgrade that matters is, of course, main battery mod 1. You want reduced chance for detonation. That's always key for any destroyer. The curious thing is, I know I'm going to bite myself in the ass on this. I haven't been detonated in any of these ships yet. So, yay. But I know that won't last long. So as far as the captain skills are concerned, of course, the situational awareness, last stand, that's a given for any, these three skills are easily the most important ones. Expert marksman, I don't think it's as important that, with the tier 2, 3, 4 ships. It could be with the higher ones, but I mean, the USN destroyers have very fast turret traverse, so it's really not too much of an issue, at least in my opinion. But I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's a pretty straightforward ship. I mean, it's tier 2. You generally know what to expect overall when you jump into a ship at this level. So first clip with the Samson is myself and Swagger on Solomon Islands, and I'm not very familiar with how to play in the south end. I don't think you guys have ever seen any footage of me or anybody else down here on this channel. It's always been in the middle or the northern end of the map here. So we're using TeamSpeak, and we're trying to coordinate our torp spreads here just to buy ourselves some time to get the hell out of here, because all of a sudden there's more destroyers, and this pretty much puckered up my butthole, I'm not gonna lie. Here I am, scared as hell that I'm gonna beach myself, and being on stream, I don't want to embarrass myself too much. I did get one torp hit, I think, on the cruiser, but here's a a wall of torps coming from the Dursky, and I'm like, no. The last thing I want to die to is the Russian DD from torps in the destroyer. That's really not a good thing. So he sends another wave of torps at me, and I get another salvo off right when everybody else lands their shots and takes him out. So managed to get out of that situation just by the skin of my teeth. I mean, super close. So we go back to launching torps again, more of a tactic to keep them a little further away from us, but we do decide to actually turn back here in a second to dump some more torps. And it's it only has 4.5 kilometer range, so the thing is, you're effectively making out a greater range if you're being chased and you're dumping the torps behind you, and in this case, you're dumping them and turning off and getting the hell out of there. It can be of a benefit to, especially with other teammates, to try to coordinate those spreads to maximize the effort and damage potential. I mean, we know there's ships in here, we just don't know who and how many and where they are. So might as well just blind fire our torps and again peel off and try to get the hell out of here. So some of these guns seem like they're firing pretty close, and there's a Wicks. Get some shots off. Boom. Nailed him. Sweet. Now actually, one of the problems I had with this ship, which is kind of an odd issue to have, is that it's really low slung, and you could see that, you know, based off of the limited range, it doesn't have much of an arc to those shells at all, right? So this changes obviously later down the tier line, and, you know, especially once you get to the Nicholas and definitely the Farragut. But because the ship is so low slung, if you get around teammates, you're actually very likely to end up hitting them. And watch this torp dodge. Yeah. God, that was close. So coming up here in a second, I'm actually going to switch out from my in-game view to the spectator view so I can show you guys what happens here. So should be right after I launch these torps. So right here. Now, I'm in artillery zoom currently, but I don't see this guy next to me. Shit. Whoops. I killed him. So I felt bad about that, but you know, there's nothing I could do. I never saw him, and I mean, those shells just came out so damn low. So now I'm trying to hide the battleships that are here at B from the cruisers and whatnot that are coming up around the island, and Dresden spots me, and I had initially fired torps against the other ship behind him. I think it's a Kolberg, but I spotted... Oh, nope. Okay, now I'm no longer spotted, but he's still doing okay damage, at least some damage to me. But I did hit him with the torp, and what happens? Of course, I mean, this is low tier, so he's just going to continue on doing the same thing, right? And I get detected again, more shots come in from him, but torpedo hit, and guess what? Another. Oh man, it just cracks me up. And thanks to Last Stand, I get to do a little bit more damage here, because even though my engine's quote knocked out, I still have some power to be able to push forward, get that last death salvo off, and do some more damage. So not terribly much though. This ship is much better suited against enemy destroyers and cruisers. Now let's move on to the Wicks. I actually had a lot of trouble getting used to this. It always felt like it was really too sluggish for me, but the more I played it, to be honest with you, the better off I was with it. It's finally starting to catch that groove with me, and I've been playing it a fair bit. I do plan on, yeah, I really do plan on playing these ships quite a bit. So as you can see, it pretty much has the same exact arrangement as far as, you know, the guns, the torpedo launchers. It's basically a more amped up version of the Samson. So and one thing to bear in mind whenever I'm showing you these gun stats is I pretty much always have basic fire and training on by default, so the rate of fire is slightly higher than it would be stock. And speaking of stock, these torps are actually even worse than the ones on the Samson. 48 knots is so bad, and 4.5 kilometers, they only do 6,600 damage, you know, something along that line. It's really not that good. You do have a lot of them though, at least, so you have 6 each side, divided up into a pair of launchers, so that's pretty good. The hull upgrade gives you a rudder shift of 2.7 seconds, so that's again very good. And then the torpedo upgrade increases the damage, max damage, by 50%. You have considerably faster torps, and it doesn't sound like much. I mean, 55 knots, but trust me, it is. It makes all the difference in the world. And let's see, the torpedo range goes up to 5 kilometers. You do get an 8-second increase on your reload, so it goes up to 40 seconds. And there's also the FCS upgrade to boost you up to about 9.2 kilometers on the gun range. Now for the upgrades, of course, main battery mod 1, obviously. And as far as the second upgrade, propulsion. So the reason you do that is because you want to protect your engine, the steering gears at the very least. If your steering gears get knocked out, you still have power. So, you know, if you need to come to a stop and pop smoke, you can still do that. You know, losing your steering gears is a lot less important on a ship like this, especially since, I mean, you're going to have last stand anyways. So it's pretty good in my opinion. Now, get used to seeing Solomon Islands. It's a very common map at this tier, of course. I mean, obviously tier 5 ships are going to get into it too, so you know, you'll become pretty familiar with this map, and you'll also understand that this is a very weird spot for a carrier to be, so I'm trying to punish him for it, but these guns really just don't have enough juice behind them to punch through and do a lot of, like, you know, citadels. That does change, and God, I can't wait to show you that. But as far as the Wicks is concerned, for the most part, it's pretty much always better to use HE, at least from my findings. Now, this does detail one of my favorite tactics to do with this ship, and that's to dump one side of torps and then switch over real fast and dump the other side, so you have a, you know, a twofold wave of torps that, yeah, you just, God, it really increases the amount of damage you can do. And, you know, with such a fast rudder shift, you're able to get those two waves of torps right behind each other only a few seconds. So, you know, if you have a ship coming at you, you do that and they turn right into the next set. So it's the 1-2 punch, and it doesn't matter about the first set of torps. You're just trying to get them to move. In a situation like that, the guy didn't bother to move, so it didn't really matter anyways. But so moving forward though, I am rushing back here on big race to try to protect my carriers, and I already have, you know, a kill, first blood, and I took a team torp from a guy that literally looked right at me for like 5 seconds and then launched torps, and it's really stupid. But for whatever reason, it seems like people who spam the chat like crazy are the ones that seem to be, you know, most prone to, you know, team torping or that sort of thing. So really dumb, but whatever. Anyways, trying to cover these Langleys here, and, you know, this ship actually has enough speed to be able to get back and respond to things that change. I mean, you obviously want to be able to, as a destroyer player, be able to adapt to a given situation, but I actually found myself playing defense with this ship and the Clemson quite a lot. But I moved over to offense, and quite a bit of it, finding their two carriers up in the top corner of the map. So if you notice my health, I think you can understand, especially with the recent changes here, that this is not as clear-cut as you may think. So my chances of like doing significant damage to these guys with my guns, my shells, is actually pretty minimal. I need to get my torps involved. That unfortunately tends to mean I'm gonna get into secondary range to assure that I'm going to get these torps to hit. So one more hit from that little secondary gun on the front of the damn Langley, and watch this. I mean, there it is. I'm so close to dying. I would have never lived this down if I got killed by a Langley secondary, and I think I actually would have showed it to you just for the sheer embarrassment and laughter that, you know, would have been in the YouTube comment sections, and, you know, the next time I streamed. Oh my god, it would be hilarious. But, you know, even if it's at my expense. Alright, so that's the 4th kill, and as he goes under, yay, there's the enemy Langley, the last one, and send off my port side torps. I think I actually switch over to AP here and just damn near get killed by the dive bombers. So I've been surprised by dive bombers a fair bit since this last patch, I'll say that much. Pro tip, don't mess with Lexingtons. That's all I could say. Unless you've got them like right there, dead to rights. Damn, they hit destroyers so hard with those dive bombers. Now, for whatever reason, maybe the guy actually is trying to maneuver out of the way, and the Langley is just that slow. I know it's really slow, but I was kind of surprised that the indicated path for the torps, he just went right for it. So yay, another destroyer taken out, or another carrier taken out. Sorry, it's late, and I got another devastating strike in the Kraken. So here's an example. And again, this is low tier. I'm not picking on this guy for being low tier or anything or new, but just an example of a ship charging at me. I dropped one side of Torps and I'm switching over now to my port side, and he's rolling right into it. And I mean, this is textbook. I couldn't ask for it to be any better than that. Yay. Sorry though, poor guy. Alright, so let's finish off with the Clemson here. And this has, again, pretty much the same arrangement and the same guns. Everything that you've seen with the Samson that got buffed up a bit on the Wicks is now going to be buffed up even further on the Clemson. So it does have the 102mm guns, and there's just 4 of them, but that changes. So you have the hull upgrade here, which brings the rudder shift down to 2.8 seconds, and the overall detection is 7 kilometers. The Wicks is 6.7, so thankfully not too much of a change there. Now the FCS upgrade helps bring the really bad stock range of 7.8 up to 8.6. So it actually has about a little bit more than a half kilometer less range than the Wicks. But this is the difference. That turret upgrade doubles the amount of barrels you have. So all the guns get an extra barrel. So that's actually a pretty big deal when you're talking about a destroyer that, is, has an emphasis on the guns as far as, that play style. And now you have, instead of 3 shells per side, you now have 6. That's an awesome increase in the overall ability of the ship to deal with enemy threats, and especially when it comes to destroyers. So now you kind of get the feel that it's a Samson that's really come into its own. Like, it's hitting its prime time and, getting things going here. And now it's going to be a ship to, be able to contend with, the forces that it faces. So the stock torpedoes have 5 kilometer range, 40-second reload, and, they do decent damage. So the upgraded torps have a boost to nearly 12,000 damage max and 5.5 kilometers, and unfortunately their reload goes up to 66 seconds, but it's actually pretty solid. It's really not that bad at all. But all in all, I think the Clemson is a ship that really eventually started to grow on me over time. I do want to say too that I did actually equip Expert Marksman on this. I felt that it kind of needed it. I found myself in a few situations where I was really wishing for some faster turret speed, so I decided to opt for that. Maybe I'll change it in the future, but we'll see. So we're back on Big Race, and hitting an enemy Nicholas here, and the Nicholas, the Farragut, and the Clemson itself, I mean, they're pretty easy ships to get a lot of hits on just because they have that large profile, especially the Nicholas with that frontal area there from the forward smokestack up ahead to the front of the bow. They're really easy to get a bunch of hits all on, like, at once, especially if you're, like, say in a Cleveland. Oh my god, you could just completely wreck those guys with one salvo. It's pretty awesome. But starting to move back to the other side here. I was originally going to head back and see if I could get that Nicholas, but decided to stick with the other destroyers here. And I do have Chrono in his Isakaze with me as well, so there's another destroyer over here too, and we're just starting to harass this Königsberg, which of course is a pretty big threat to any of our destroyers here, so definitely got to try to take him out as soon as we can. I line up some torps, get him ahead just in case, and switch over to AP. Now he does launch torps here, and watch how damn close this is. I really wasn't paying attention, and I was damn lucky. So I'm getting closer and closer. I gotta set it down. Oh my god. that would have sucked. Well, next target is the South Carolina, and he's doing the right thing and trying to run the hell away. He does have his guns drawn on us, so trying to see if we can get some fires going on him here, which, the crappy part about these guns is they just, it's like a 4, 5, 6% chance of starting a fire, and so you have to rely on the sheer volume of shells in order to be able to do any real fire damage. And again, in the subsequent destroyer videos for the United States Navy, you will see that it's all about the overwhelming volume of shells on target that will help you get those fires and stuff. I actually had, I think it was in the Farragut, I had a match where I had something like 93 HE shell hits without a single fire. So I think that's probably the worst I've seen, at least from my own personal experience so far. The South Carolina just gets destroyed here, so very nice spread there by our friendly destroyer. And now we have the Langley's in sight. There is a little bit of a problem though, and off to my right, behind an island, right at the edge of the cap there will be a Tenru, and he makes life a little bit more difficult for us. So you can see he just popped up on the map, and now we're dealing with the enemy carriers dropping torps and bombs on us, and really by us I mean that guy. So poor guy, poor guy. He's just going to be pretty much the lead target for the enemy ships here, since obviously he's closer to the carriers and obviously more of a threat than I am. But I'm going to start working, or trying to work, on this Tenryu. And I have HE loaded initially, but I do switch over to AP right there, and I'm relatively confident that I'm going to be able to get citadels on the guy. So sure enough, he's completely broadside to me, backing up, because I guess he's already channeling his inner Yamato. So I decided to dump some torps his way. I do get a citadel, and I think the max damage on this is only like, I think it's 1800 for or 1700, I'm sorry, for a citadel, so that's pretty crappy. But when you have a rate of fire like this, and you have, a good amount of shells, that can add up very, very quickly. And then I've seen it with other ships in previous videos, and with the Farragut, the Nicholas, you're going to see that a lot. So I do get a torp hit on him, causes him to flood out a little bit, and boom, he's down. So I was gonna try to cut in here and see if I could get a better angle on the Langley, but unfortunately with those torps there, I just didn't have that chance. So I don't get the double strike like I was hoping to, but oh well, it happens. So I'm digging into the Hosho's side armor here, waiting for those torps to get to the right range where I'd be able to go ahead and cut in and get behind them, or obviously they run out of their propellant. Alright, so now it's time to cut in against the Hosho and go hard body karate against him, see if I can get my torps to square things away here. And he does launch another set of the torpedo bombers, and now he's got his second set coming up, so I'm gonna have to try to do this real fast, because I don't want to die. And especially not this close to an enemy carrier. I've had it happen before, and it really sucks. So, as expected, I was anticipating this. I do cut in just behind the torpedo to try to keep my angle on this guy and see if I can get these torps going. Here we go, and here comes another drop from his other squadron, and I've got my torps off though at the very least. So whatever happens here, it's all good. And I thought I'd be able to keep pulling, but I wasn't confident in that. So I take the torp like an idiot. Probably could have gotten away with that. So all in all, these are furious little bastards. I really like playing these guys, and the Nicholas is even better, the Farragut is even better than that. So there's a lot to like with these ships and where they go. So I think you guys will enjoy these if you're only just starting out, or if you kind of want to refresh your memory on how they played. And I do have a bunch of reviews coming up. I will be out of town next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so I will be back for a stream next Sunday. But today, Friday, I am going to be doing a stream starting at 4 p.m. Eastern. And let's see, I may join in some team battles. Overpowered Gaming is actually going to be hosted with Wargaming for the Sink Us for Doubloons challenge. So if you're interested in team battles, jump in, create a team, you see us out there, sink us, you get gold. I'm not entirely sure of certain stipulations. I may or may not be part of it, but I will be streaming at the very least, and hope you guys are interested in checking that out and getting involved with some team battles. I may finally try it today, but yeah, either way, thanks for watching, and feel free to leave some feedback, and I'll see you next time, guys. Take care.